なんで、perdón, un ticket para Tokio, por favor. で、ごめんなさい。東京用のチケットくださいって言ってるのと一緒です。por favor. ちょっといいですか？ por favor はどちらかというと、お願いしますのニュアンスの方が強いです。La cuenta, por favor. Sí, enseguida. La cuenta, por favor. お会計もらっていいですか？もしくはお会計お願いします。Sí, enseguida. はい、すぐお持ちします。¿Está libre esta silla? この席は空いてますか？ Disculpe, ¿está libre esta silla? No, estoy esperando a alguien, perdón. Disculpe, ¿está libre esta silla? すいません、この椅子って空いてますか？ No, estoy esperando a alguien, perdón. いいえ、今友達、誰かを待ってるの？ごめんなさい。Perdón, ¿está haciendo fila? No, siga. Perdón, ¿está haciendo fila? ごめんなさい。列並んでますか？ No, siga. いいえ、続けて。Disculpe, ¿me da permiso, por favor? すいません、通してください。Disculpe, ¿me da permiso, por favor? La salida es por el otro lado. Disculpe, ¿me da permiso, por favor? すいません、通してください。La salida es por el otro lado. 出口は逆側ですよ。¿Te estás divirtiendo? 楽しんでる？ ¿Te estás divirtiendo? Sí, claro, me estoy divirtiendo mucho. ¿Te estás divirtiendo? 楽しんでる？ Sí, claro, me estoy divirtiendo mucho. もちろん、めっちゃ楽しんでるよ。¿Viene muy a menudo aquí? ここはよく来るんですか？ ¿Vienes muy a menudo aquí? No mucho, de vez en cuando con mis colegas. ¿Vienes muy a menudo aquí? ここはよく来るの？ No mucho, de vez en cuando con mis colegas. そこまでたまに同僚と来るぐらいだよって。viene は敬語で、vienes はタメ口って覚えておけば大丈夫です。¿Puedo acompañarte? ご一緒してもいい？ ¿Puedo acompañarte? Sí, claro. ¿Qué vas a tomar? ¿Puedo acompañarte? ご一緒してもいい？ Sí, claro. ¿Qué vas a tomar? もちろん。何飲むの？ ¿Tiene algún problema? 何かお困りですか？ ¿Tiene algún problema? No, solamente estoy buscando a mis amigos, gracias. ¿Tiene algún problema? 何かお困りですか？この何かお困りですかっていうよりかは、なんかトラブルでもありますかみたいなニュアンスが強いかな。No, solamente estoy buscando a mis amigos, gracias. ただ友達を探してるだけなの。ありがとう。¿Qué te pasa? どうしたの？ ¿Qué te pasa? Creo que perdí mi billetera. ¿Qué te pasa? どうしたの？ Creo que perdí mi billetera. もしかしたら財布なくしたかも。この ¿Qué te pasa? はちょっと使い方気をつけてほしくて、今みたいに ¿Qué te pasa? とかって言うと何してんのとかどうしたの何なのみたいなニュアンスになっちゃうんで、¿Qué te pasa? とかって言うと、どうしたの何が、あなたの身に何が起きたのみたいな感じなんです。だけど、一番誤解がないのは ¿Qué pasó? が一番誤解ないかなって思います。そう、この後に来る ¿Qué sucede? 何が起きたの？ ¿Qué sucede? ¿Por qué gritas así de fuerte? No te preocupes, es por esa broma pesada. ¿Qué sucede? ¿Por qué gritas así de fuerte? どうしたの？なんでそんな強く怒鳴るの？ No te preocupes, es por esa broma pesada. 大丈夫、心配しない。ただの悪ふざけだから。Tengo algo que decirle. ちょっとお話ししたいことがあるんですが。Señor, tengo algo que decirle. Sí, claro, la escucho. Señor, tengo algo que decirle. ちょっとお話ししたいことがあるのですが。Sí, claro, la escucho. もちろん聞くよ。Señor って言ってる時点で相手が年上ってわかるよね。で、tengo algo que decirle は decirle の部分が、敬語です。decirte だとタメ口って思えば大丈夫。la escucho って言ってる時点で相手が女性っていうのもわかります。Tengo que hablar con usted. ちょっとお話ししたいのですが。Tengo que hablar con usted. Me parece que los amigos de su hijo no son una buena influencia. No puede ser. ¿Está seguro? Tengo que hablar con usted. Me parece que los amigos de su hijo no son buena influencia. ちょっとあなたとお話ししないといけないんだけど、息子さん最近悪い仲間と付き合ってるみたいでって。 まさか、それは確実なの? ¿Estás seguro? この no puede ser, ¿estás seguro? まさか、それは確かですか? ¿Estás seguro? グロをって言ってる時点で相手は男性ってことがわかります。¿Estás segura? だと相手が女性です。Quisiera hablar con usted de algo. あなたと何かお話ししたいことがあるんですけど。Quisiera hablar con usted de algo. Me imagino de qué se trata. Es sobre la renta que no he pagado desde hace 3 meses, ¿no? Quisiera hablar con usted de algo. ちょっとお話ししたいんですが。Me imagino de qué se trata. Es sobre la renta que no he pagado desde hace 3 meses, ¿no? 予想できるよ、何を話したいかって。3ヶ月前から払ってない家賃のことでしょ？すごいストーリー性。¡Auxilio! ¡Tasquete! ¡Auxilio! Alguien me está persiguiendo. Espera, ¿ya no reconoces a tu esposo? ¡Auxilio! Alguien me está persiguiendo. ¡Tasquete! ¡Dareka ni owareteru no! Espera, ¿ya no reconoces a tu esposo? ちょっと待って、もう自分の旦那もわかんなくなったの？すごいじゃん、このストーリー。Cuidado, me estás quemando la camisa con el cigarrillo. Perdón, fue sin culpa. Cuidado, me estás quemando la camisa con el cigarrillo. 気をつけて、私のシャツをタバコで焦がしてる。Perdón, fue sin culpa. ごめん、わざとじゃないの。Corran! 逃げて Corran! Hay un incendio. Evacúen el área. Pero mi hija está ahí. Encuéntrala, señor, se lo pido. Corran, hay un incendio. Evacúen el área. 逃げて、火災があった。すぐに退去してください。Pero mi hija está ahí. Encuéntrela. Señor, se lo pido. でも私の娘がそこにいるの。お願い、助けてください。なんてドラマチック。さすがスペイン語、ドラマチック言語ですね。はい、こんな感じで、スペイン語を喋るときは人格を変えて OK です。Estoy feliz de poder conocerlo finalmente. やっとお会いできて嬉しいです。Estoy feliz de poder conocerla finalmente. Yo también. Le agradezco mucho que me haya invitado. Estoy feliz de poder conocerla finalmente. やっとお会いできて嬉しいです。Yo también le agradezco mucho que me haya invitado. 招待していただきありがとうございます。私も光栄です。この poder conocerla って言ってる時点で相手が女性ってわかります。conocerlo だと男性ね。で、le agradezco mucho。これは le agradezco mucho。男性でも女性でも変わりません。ね、encantado de conocerlo。お会いできて嬉しいです。Buenas tardes. Encantado de conocerla. Buenas tardes. Igualmente. Buenas tardes. Encantado de conocerla. Konnichiwa. お会いできて嬉しいです。Buenas tardes. Igualmente. Konnichiwa. 私もです。conocerla で相手が女性っていうのがわかりますね。Es un honor poder conocerlo. お会いできて光栄です。Es un honor poder conocerla. El placer es mío. Muchas gracias por su invitación. Es un honor poder conocerla. Konnichiwa. No. お会いできて光栄です。El placer es mío. Muchas gracias por su invitación. 私もです。ご招待いただきありがとうございます。この El placer es mío。光栄ですって言われてるので、私も光栄ですっていうふうに言っております。で、このconocerla、poder conocerla で女性、相手が女性っていうことがわかりますね。はい。では皆さん、これを1から、30まで今回は、音読してみました。次は30から60、31か。31から60までやってみるので、ぜひ聞き流すように使ってみてください。で、実際この本ね、¿Qué tal? Soy Marieです。今日も、前回の動画の続き、音読していくので、今日ちょっといつもと雰囲気を変えて 皆さんに、お届けしたいと思います。なので、最後までチェックしてね。¿Acá? Un momento. No creo. Ah, claro que sí, tanto tiempo. 待ってください。そんなことないと思う。もちろん、お久しぶりです。cuánto tiempo と tanto tiempo はニュアンスが似ていて、cuánto tiempo っていうのはいつぶりみたいな感じで、tanto tiempo は久しぶり。どっちを使っても大丈夫です。me parece haberlo visto en alguna parte. どこかでお見かけしたようだと思うんですけど。Bueno, parece que usted no me recuerda. Lo siento. Me parece haberla visto en alguna parte, pero bueno, parece que usted no me recuerda.
Oh, mi mamá me envió esto. ¿Qué es? Es un seguro de baja. Ah, qué bueno. Nunca están de más. Sí. Y también una carta. Órale. ¿Y qué dice? A ver. Me está contando que tuvo un incidente con una persona que cuidó su coche. Pero se le olvidó como les dije. Ah, pero ¿cómo puede ser eso? A ver, ¿qué te dice? Dice que es una persona que cuida coches en las calles y ayuda a los conductores a encontrar lugar para estacionarse, a cambio de dinero. Ah, es un viene-viene. Si cuida coches, es obvio, es un viene-viene. Está fácil, carnal. Dile a tu mamá que es un viene-viene. Sí, yo también pensé lo mismo. Pero dice que sale a trabajar de traje y corbata, en un horario fijo. Entonces no son viene-viene. La ropa de los viene-viene parecen que están hechas para los hombres. Y su horario laboral es justo cuando hay humanos desesperados por encontrar un lugar para estacionarse. Solo así sobreviven. Trabajan cuando se les da la gana. Entonces no deben ser viene-viene. ¿No dice algo más? Dice que se adueñan de las calles. Ya, es un viene-viene. Eso es típico de los viene-viene. Ponen locales, ponen cubetas con cemento, hasta usan bici, lo que sea. Si no tienen nada para poner,
I just want to know how many Latinos in the crowd tonight? Now, notice I asked Latinos. I wasn't very specific. Because if you call a Latino the wrong one, there's an issue. You call a Mexican a Salvadorian, we get mad. You call a Puerto Rican a Dominican, they get mad. You call a Cuban anything but a Cuban, you're going to get stabbed. So for everyone here and everyone at home, I have found a way to figure out who's who. It's very easy. All you have to do is listen to the way the person is speaking Spanish. You don't have to understand a single word, just listen to the flow. That'll let you know. For example, Mexicans, when we speak Spanish, we sound high. Seriously, you ask us a question, we drag it out. Hey, bro, how's it going? Pues aquí nomás, hombre. Pues tú sabes, güey. You know, Cubans, I found out Cubans, you guys speak Spanish like everything means something. It's very serious. You ask a Cuban a question, bro, where you going? Al baño, coño carajo, why you want to know? Just asking, dude. It's like, why is he yelling? I don't know. And I found out Puerto Ricans, you guys speak Spanish like there's a time limit. Ask a question, hey bro, what's up? Oh, mira, bro, el otro día estaba con Hitcher, me estaba platicando que chacha, Benito, yo no sé lo que está pasando aquí, no me puede. Dame más gasolina. Just fast. Even Mexicans were like, hey, write that down. Quick. Another way is the beverage. The beverage will let you know who you're dealing with. For example, a Mexican's preferred drink of choice is tequila. Okay? A Puerto Rican's preferred drink of choice is either Don Q or Coquito. Right? And a Cuban's preferred drink of choice is coffee. Now, let me tell you how I know about this one. So a few years ago, Martina and I were doing a show at the Improv in Miami, and after the show was over, I was talking to Martina and said, hey, bro, we got to try out some of this Cuban food everybody's been talking about. It's our first time here. And so we go outside to catch a cab, and when we got in the car, I figured something out, and that is that Cubans come in every color of the rainbow. Cubans and Puerto Ricans, you go from really, really white all the way to freaking navy black, just hardcore. Wesley Snipes, just dark, scuro. El negro, hardcore, you know what I mean? I didn't know that there was such a thing as a black Cuban, because we get in the car and we're speaking Spanish, and this guy turns around and he's black and he's like, ¿Dónde quieren ir? Where you wanna go? I'm like, oh my God. It freaked me out. I thought the partition was tinted. I didn't know. So he's yelling at us, ¿Dónde quiere ir? I'm like, dude, why is he yelling? I said, listen, we want to go somewhere to get some authentic Cuban food. Where can we go? And then he takes us to this place called Calle Ocho, which for everyone at home, Calle Ocho is Spanish for 8th Street. And it's an area where, it's very authentic. And he takes us to this restaurant called La Carreta. Okay? So you can't miss it. There's a restaurant on the corner with a giant wagon wheel in front of it and a huge rooster. I don't know what the rooster does, but look out for him. We walk inside, and I think, what was it, Martin, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when we went in?
Easy 3 in the morning.
Easy 3 o'clock in the morning. We sit down at this table, and we're looking at the menu. We're trying to figure it out, and there's all kinds of bananas.
Encantada, encantada, encantada. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo te va? ¿Cómo te va? ¿Cómo te va? ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? Ánimo. 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 Otra vez será. Otra vez será. Otra vez será. Ojalá. 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 Tranquilo. 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 Tranquila. 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 ¿De verdad? ¿De verdad? De verdad. ¿En serio? ¿En serio? En serio. Seguro. 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 Vale. Vale. Vale.
Perfecto.
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 Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Muy bien.
Nada más.
Nada más.
Nada más.
Nada más.
Nada más.
Nada más.
Imposible.
Impossible.
Imposible.
Impossible.
Freut mich.
はじめまして。
Freut mich. Der Sohn. Der Sohn.
ドイツ語で一緒に数字を数えてみましょう。ドイツ語で数字で1から10はこちらです。一緒に読んでみましょう。1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10。もう一回から読んでいきます。
Der Bruder. Der Bruder.
兄、弟、
Der Onkel. Der Onkel.
おじ、旅行先や日誌。
Los geht's. Wie geht es dir?
Mir geht es gut, danke. Und dir?
Alles okay, danke. Wie war dein Wochenende?
お送りしたいと思うんです。いただくことを。ヘビまだダンニャワード。ダンニャワードです。こちらももう一つ言い方がありまして、シュックリア。シュックリアです。このダンニャワードとシュックリアにも、大して意味の違いはないので、どちらか好きな方を使っていただけたらと思います。次、ありがとうと言われたときには、どういたしまして、大丈夫ですよ、You're welcome っていう風に言いたいと思うんですけど、これは、कोई बात नहीं.
And then my first trip overseas was to Japan. I love Asia. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I had my 18th birthday there.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, please, thank you for being here. Now, I want to get into your product line too, but I want to know more about you because you're from Australia, right?
I am, yes.
Well, I know that you all have a great Australian cheer. I want to hear it. So let me say first, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. I enjoyed that.
And you grew up in a farm?
Yes,
So
a
you're
little
a farm
country
girl.
town.
Do you think anybody should be able to get married if they want to?
Yes.
How come?
Well, because if they want to, they should be able to.
Would you want to get married?
Not really.
アメリカの子供たちがどう
As you know, the Supreme Court decision on Friday in favor of same-sex marriage is controversial. Some people just don't like it. They don't believe in it. They don't think it's right. One of the most common arguments you hear is, how do I explain this to my kids? And it's a good question. At the very least, it's a fair question. You wonder if children are sophisticated enough to wrap their head around something like this. So we went out in the street today to ask kids what they think and what they know.
Man and two women get married.
So is it when 4 people get married?
No.
Could you tell us what gay marriage is?
I know nothing about that yet.
You don't know anything about it? Why would anyone want to get married?
Because they love each other and they just feel a connection.
Do you think it's a good thing?
Yeah.
When should two people get married?
And at the afternoon.
It's a good time to get married. Do you know what marriage is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's when a husband and wife get married.
So what do you think gay marriage is?
When a boy and a boy get married and a girl get married.
Oh, you're right. Do you think that's very hard to understand?
For some kids.
But not for you?
No, not really.
Do you think anybody should be able to get married?
If you're old enough.
Oh, very wise. Do you want to get married?
Yes.
When?
When I'm 30.
Why would someone want to get married?
Because they're pregnant.
Because they're pregnant? Could you tell us what gay marriage is?
Where a boy marries another boy.
Okay, and could it be when a girl meets or marries another girl?
No.
Just like a boy meeting another boy?
Yeah.
Wow, what would it be called if a girl married another girl?
Lesbianism.
Do you think anybody should be able to get married if they want to?
Yes.
How come?
Well, because if they want to, they should be able to.
Would you want to get married?
Not really.
How come?
Because when you get married, the other person is entitled to any money the other person has.
So it's a financial issue for you?
Yeah.
He's fiscally conservative.
You gotta park the car and have the yarn, give the guy a quarter for some chowder. You gotta park the car and have the yarn, give the guy a quarter for some chowder. A whole bunch of different parts of the country. So the northern part of the state is really like the plains. So people kind of have that flat Iowa accent.
People always know I'm from the Midwest when I say bagel.
But if you get down south to the Little Dixie portion, it has a much more of a southern drawl.
Elongating those vowels a little bit and saying y'all every sentence.
How y'all doing today?
Y'all want to go to Waffle House? Come on over. We'll go to Waffle House.
It's just like real round in your mouth, and you're just like, hey y'all, how we doing tonight? Are you guys gonna go down to the game this weekend? I'm so excited. Like Joshua's doing real great this year. Hey y'all, how we doing tonight? Are you guys gonna go down to the game this weekend? I'm so excited. Like Joshua's doing real great this year. Hey y'all, how we doing tonight? Are you guys gonna go down to the game this weekend? I'm so excited. Like Joshua's doing real great this year.
Everybody talks really slow, especially compared to New Yorkers.
Most New Yorkers are loud. You gotta fit your way into a conversation most oftentimes when you're in New York.
Vermont's accent is very unique, and it's hard to slip into unless you're talking to another person who grew up farming.
People from California kind of have they say
Colorado doesn't really have a typical accent. Lots of people say that it has no accent, but you'll definitely get called out if you say Colorado.
まあ、あなたは私のことを覚えてないみたいですね。Lo siento, me parece haberla visto en alguna parte, pero ごめんなさい。どこかであなたのことを見かけたと思うんですけど、この haberla って使ってるので、女性、相手が女性っていうのがわかります。haberlo だと相手が男性です。Me conoce? 私のこと知ってますか？ ¿Me conoce? Claro que sí. Usted es una escritora muy conocida, incluso en Japón. ¿Me conoce? 私のこと知ってるの？ Claro que sí. Usted es una escritora muy conocida, incluso en Japón. もちろんですよ。あなたは超有名な作家ですから、日本でも有名ですよ。Me conoce っていうのは、私のこと知ってるの？みたいな感じのニュアンスで使ったりします。¿Cuánto tiempo sin vernos? 久しぶり。¿Cuánto tiempo sin vernos? Patricia, ¿qué haces ahora? Ahora estoy trabajando en un supermercado. ¿Cuánto tiempo sin vernos? Patricia, ¿qué haces ahora? Patricia, お久しぶりね。今は何してるの？ Ahora estoy trabajando.
Hola, 元気ですかなんか紹介してくれてありがとう。私もすごく嬉しい。
ぜひ皆さん楽しんでください。今日はね、ずっとトナミの話になるともう3回以上。が今回も
สวัสดี สวัสดี
元気ですか
สบายดีไหม สบายดีไหม
元気です
สบายดี สบายดี
ありがと
ขอบคุณ ขอบคุณ
うすみませんごめんなさい
ขอโทษ ขอโทษ
สวัสดีครับวันนี้เราสองคนจะพาทุกคนไปดูวิธีทำแจ่วฮอนด้วยกันนะครับตามมาเลยครับวัตถุดิบที่เห็นอยู่ตรงนี้นะครับก็เตรียมไว้สำหรับ 2-3 ที่ครับประกอบไปด้วยหอมแดงตะไคร้ข่าแล้วก็ใบมะกรูดครับการเตรียมหอมแดงนะครับก็คือปอกเปลือกแล้วก็หั่นพอดีคำจากนั้นให้เราสไลด์ตะไคร้นะครับโดยหั่นประมาณ 4-5 เซนติเมตรเพราะว่าจะได้
英語で言います。これで一緒に、こんにちは同士。Привет。Привет。おはようございます。Доброе утро。Доброе утро。こんにちは、お昼の挨拶。Добрый день。Добрый день。こんばんは。Добрый вечер。Добрый вечер。ごめんなさい。Простите。Простите。すみません。Извините。Извините。
Parece que tá dando uma tomada. E apertando um pouquinho. É, porque o ficou ali no baixo.
Senhor, de curtir o Natal.
Não posso sair até depois do jantar. Não posso sair até depois do jantar.
I messed up my homework and had to start again.
Eu errei meu dever de casa e tive que começar de novo.
Für hier oder zu gehen?
お持ち帰りですか？それともこちらでお召し上がりですか？
Für hier oder zu gehen? Er ist verrückt nach Baseball. Er ist verrückt nach Baseball.
What's a big mistake you've made or a big regret you have that you learned a valuable lesson from?
That's a very difficult question to answer. So many.
I cannot seduce beautiful girls anymore. Women is a very dangerous animal.
I didn't expect to be here. Two-time cancer survivor.
You're in deep shit.
You're running out of time.
96. It's still right there.
Have you ever wondered what the regrets of some of the oldest and wisest people in the world are? What about their best piece of life advice for someone of your age? In this video, I'll be in New York City, one of the most elect and their biggest
Anymore. I used to run 2 hours a day, swim 2 hours a day, and now I walk. When I meet you,
What's the worst part about getting older?
I cannot seduce beautiful girls anymore.
Yeah.
How old are you?
24.
Oh, you're on top of the world.
How old are you?
96.
What does it feel like to be 96?
Not too great. I met a very nice lady. She made the big decisions, and she was very bright. Picked the right lady for the wife. Very grateful. I didn't expect to be here. Two-time cancer survivor. Happy to be alive.
Not resignation, but just acceptance. Acceptance of yourself, acceptance of your inabilities, acceptance of the things that you didn't accomplish, and not worrying too much about the fact that, you know, you're running out of time.
Age to me is just a number. I went through every phase of my life thinking that, you know, it was extraordinary to be alive and experience the things I've experienced. I never really thought of actually reaching 65. So
How are you able to be so present consistently? I feel like that's a hard thing for people to do.
my heritage, my mother was a Buddhist, was telling me since I was can remember to always be in the present, that the present was happiness.
What is a big mistake that you've made or a big regret that you have that you learned a valuable lesson from?
I tend to be a whirling dervish, and I take a situation and think, what if? And I did that a lot in my life, and it's just not productive. And, you know,
Do you think it held you back from doing things?
sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes it did.
I quit my first job too early, movie business,
Why did you quit that job?
because I did not think enough. Emotions is very dangerous. You have to master your emotions, my friend.
Yeah.
If you don't master, you're in deep shit.
Have you mastered your emotions?
Yeah, it took me 70 years. You live in a wonderful time. The best of the best. And all those guys who tells you, oh, in the old days it was much better. That's all crap. In the old days you had a toothache, you would go around the corner and the guy, now you're in pain, a pill.
How long have you been married for?
44 years.
How did you propose, if you don't mind asking?
She proposed. Yeah, we were up on a ski trip, and we were rolling around in the snow up at Sugarbush, and I said, "You're the kind of person I think I would marry." And she took that as some sort of proposal, and a few days later she said, June 10th or July 8th. I go, "What's that?" She said, "The day we're going to get married."
No way.
And I said, "July 8th. She said, "Why?" I said, "It's later."
It's the holiday season and love is in the air. We partnered today with Dari Ring, a company. Why, you might ask? One of the reasons is to protect, to make the right decision.
Self in terms of being vulnerable and trying different avenues.
Feels like people aren't putting themselves out there as much or taking that risk.
Yeah, I think maybe they think that there's always somebody else to try, so why get too bogged down with one relationship and just keep moving around? And after a while, you find years have gone by and you've just been moving around and not like challenging a relationship to continue like day to day. Yeah, not looking so far ahead all the time. It's about day to day. Yeah, even a long-term relationship has to do with today is today, and it's the next another day. Let's get better.
A lot of people that I know are unhappy these days, stressed, anxious, worried. Why do you think that a lot of people are like that?
I think COVID changed a lot. It showed many, many people that we're not as safe. And I think the world, the way it is today, with what's going on in Israel, what's going on in Ukraine, has woken people up to the reality of we're in this sort of cushy American world, but in fact, it could change on a dime.
What is a big mistake that you've made or a big regret that you have that you learned a valuable lesson from?
There's so many.
Judging people too harshly, too quickly, judgmental.
Not taking risks. Sometimes you see a road, I talked about the road you didn't take, and you look at the things that the choices you made along the way, and you think,
Oh, was that the road I should have taken?
I wanted to be a lawyer, but I had a slight speech impediment. I felt that would be a handicap. But I got over the speech problems. Anyway, it's too late now.
I don't actually believe in mistakes. I believe in lessons that push you forward. And some people I've known allowed mistakes to actually freeze them in that moment of time, and they could never get out of it. The biggest one I guess I've learned is that to spend more time with people, pay attention, listen to them. You know, it's easy to keep moving on and being worried about the river flow, but I think you have to get off once in a while and just enjoy the shore.
If you could give anyone your age or younger one piece of advice, what would you say?
Stay calm, carry on. It's very true. You really need to keep a certain level of calmness and focus. Enjoy life. Appreciate life. Gratitude is super important.
Being in.
What is a big mistake that you have made or a big regret that you have?
Oh, let's get very personal. I really, really effing regret that.
Ew, I did that.
You can't just lie in bed and eat cookies.
Or maybe some people.
You feel like you played tackle football the day before. Just can't remember why you feel so sore. And you're up and you're doing things and you're just really sore. And then you go into the bathroom and you go like this. Because all of a sudden there's this old face in front of you. And you go, holy shit, I'm old, I forgot.
I played hockey until a couple of years. I quit at 84. Take no medication. I don't remember when I've ever had it. Feel good.
How old are you?
73.
Can you describe to me what it feels like to be 73?
Wonderful. Depends what life you had before.
How was your life?
It's absolutely great. I was born in France, came to Canada when I was very young.
What is a big mistake that you've made or a big regret that you have that you learned a valuable lesson from?
I got married when I was very young. Like, I don't know how old you are, but I have grandchildren that are in their 30s. So I would probably have lived life a little bit more than getting married then.
How old were you when you got married?
18.
What age would you get married at, let's say, today?
Probably in my 30s.
I think like I'm 23, but physically I don't feel like I'm 23. And then the world looks at you differently and they respond differently.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I think as a woman, you feel a little invisible as you get older. When you're younger, you get a lot of attention. A lot of people, look at you and talk to you. I don't think we value older people. I think we think they're kind of like out of date.
Oh, I'm tired, man. It's like gravity has been holding on to me for a long fucking time.
I'm like so many people who suddenly look up and go, what? 73? When did that happen? I'm not ready for Medicare yet, but I'll take it.
When you look at the 20-somethings of today, what is one thing you don't like about them?
The social media stuff, all the selfies and the kind of marketing oneself as a product. You can't sit in an airport or even in a park and talk to anybody because everybody's like this. Put it away, turn it off.
I feel like there's a whole language of images that I just don't have the training to get because it didn't happen with me from birth, which kind of makes me feel left out a little.
What does it feel like to be 75?
It feels wonderful. I just signed a 7-year employment contract.
And what does it feel like to be 69?
Like I just have learned enough to get started. A little bit of walking problems, head not in tune with the body.
Every now and again, I'm reminded that I'm not 40 anymore. I'm 59 and I'm 60 next year, and that's surprising.
If you could give one piece of advice to someone younger than you, what would you say?
Don't worry so much about things. I worried about everything when I was young. After a while, you just think, what's the point? Just do it. Because we were mental health nurses, I can say not being happy is not the same as being ill. But I think there's a big emphasis on mental health. It encourages people to think that if they're not happy all the time, there's something wrong, as opposed to it's just normal life. Sometimes you're happy about things, sometimes you're not happy about things.
What is the biggest mistake or biggest regret that you have in your life?
Wow. I could have traveled more. I mean, I've traveled a lot, but I really enjoy that. I'm sorry I let one of the languages I knew when I was younger go. I also really, really effing regret that I didn't take advantage of public schools here. I could have learned to play a musical instrument, or whatever reason I didn't do. I think it was because I didn't think my parents had enough money to buy me an instrument. I didn't do it, and now I regret it desperately. I really wish I had learned to play music because it's very, very important to me. I feel like it's in me, but I don't know how to express it.
How old are you?
83. 84.
What does it feel like to be...
85. Yesterday.
Yesterday I was 84.
What does it feel like to be 83 and 85?
Old.
Getting old is not for the faint of heart.
Thank God my health is fine.
Me, I have a long medical history. I'm a swimmer. I can swim 1,000 yards. Can you swim 1,000 yards?
When did you start saying that you felt old?
When my son says that I should sell the house and move into a assisted living and things like that, you feel old.
How do you feel about that?
What can I do? I mean, I'm upright.
It's pretty good. I don't want to go through my life again. But we do look at all you young people and we envy you because we think you have so many choices.
Physically, I feel fine. Mentally, I feel fine. A little more tired, but I regret some of the mistakes I made.
I'm a nurse. I help people die who are much younger than me. I'm still standing. Life is sweet.
We are slowly losing our memory, and I realize that, and this worries me. Physically, I feel younger, but mentally, I feel older.
What is something that when we're younger we tend to prioritize, but as we get older we realize isn't that important?
Time. It just seems to be young people are always in such a hurry. I understand it. The world is out there to be taken, So if I go here, I go there, I go here, I go there. But I think just calm down and proceed sensibly.
What people think of you.
How does that change over time?
I really don't care anymore. And I used to care, not a lot, but you did want to fit in. I used to have a hierarchy in my mind. There were like the cool people and the popular people, and then there was the nerdy people like me. And now I realize there's no hierarchy.
So what matters then?
At the end of the day, it's community. The ability to connect to people and do something that's meaningful to you that maybe is productive for the world, but maybe not.
Stuff. The older you get, the more you go, yes, you're going, why do I have all this stuff?
Competitiveness. You really don't have to beat everybody at all costs.
So who do you have to beat?
Yourself.
Is there something that we tend to prioritize a lot when we're younger, but as we get older we realize isn't actually that important?
Yes, worrying about women.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yes.
Better be careful.
I never worried about earning a living. I was a chemist. You gave me money, I made crap out of it.
We worry about what everybody else thinks of us and what we look like. It's rubbish. Our cosmetics and our hair and our face. You guys don't have to worry about it so much, but we women, we're encouraged to spend a lot of money on it. It's a waste of time, waste of energy, waste of life.
What is one regret that you have or one mistake that you have made that you learned a valuable lesson from?
Not being kind enough and generous enough. Getting too caught up in someone hurt my feelings or they didn't do things the way I thought and getting rigid about it instead of just going, you know what, it'll all work out in the end.
We both love to travel. I think we waited until we thought, oh, we can afford that. It would have been much more fun to travel when we were younger at less nice places. So we didn't start really traveling until we were about 50. So yes, we can afford nicer places to go, but it would have been much more fun to have done some backpack stuff.
I was too competitive sometimes at work back in the old days where I felt that winning was what was important. And I probably didn't treat some people very nicely.
That came at the expense of
friendships and of my own comfort. Now, looking back and kind of going like, ew, I did that.
If you went back in time and could redo it, what would you have done?
Really treat people as you want to be treated.
Sometimes when you make a choice when you're in your 20s, you don't realize the implications of how things are going to roll out in your life.
Although I graduated college and I got a master's degree, I should have studied a little harder.
I went to a 2-year college, but I should have gone to a 4-year college. It would have been better.
What is the biggest mistake that you've made that you regret?
Oh, let's get very personal. I married too young. I wasn't growing up yet. I was very early 20s. My first wife was 20, and we were still developing. I think mid to late 20s before one gets too...
How old or young you are. Here's the problem though. Talking to strangers, fundamentally, before I teach you that's how not to ask, but now to make the book that she gave me. Because I thought to do it or choose not to do it because it's scary. What is a big mistake that you've made or a big regret that you have that you learned a valuable lesson from?
Oh, now that's
When I turned 60, I thought it was the end of the world.
The ugly truth is everyone needs some money.
If I would have bought that, hundreds of thousands.
They always say it's not too late, it's not too late, but it's too late.
Have you ever wondered what the regrets of some of the richest people in the world are? What about pieces of life advice that they would give to someone of your age? In this video, I'm going to be interviewing a series of millionaires.
You're a lot slower. You wish you took more time when you were 50.
I can't believe it's so.
It's been downhill ever since.
Your body.
And I had a wonderful time. I had 7-piece band, 70 people, the whole thing. It's been downhill ever since.
Your body sort of gives out on you and you wish you were young.
You're a lot slower. You wish you took more time when you were 50.
I can't believe it's already here.
You have a lot of friends that are gone, and it just
Yeah.
makes you enjoy each day because you just don't know how many you have.
A third of my high school is gone. I never had that thought before. You know, you had to live that. You had to experience that.
The silver lining to age, because there's not many. You no longer have to prove yourself so much to people, and the people in your life that aren't loving, kind, and respectful, you can walk away from instead of making the effort to possibly change them instead of changing yourself to fit into theirs.
What did you do for a living?
I started off in sales and worked my way up to be a CEO of a major company.
What was that company, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it was several companies. I was CEO, general manager of TOW Credit Data, which is now known as Experian. Do you know Experian? About credit? Okay.
I don't.
Sorry. And then I became president of Comdata Corporation and then TOW Innovus.
Did you enjoy those jobs?
I loved them, yeah. Because we were able to achieve a lot. But because I had an objective in life.
Everyone always says find a job that you love. But what is it about that job that you love?
Oh, well, just interacting with people. See, when I was young, I thought a salesman was a person who went and knocked on doors and sold clothes brushes. So when I got into sales, I was selling adding machines and accounting machines. And I was 19 years old. And I just met some lovely people.
What is one big mistake that you have made in your life, or one regret that you have that has shaped you or helped you learn a valuable lesson?
You know, I'm at 42 years old. I've come to the point where I realize that there really are no regrets. There are just learning lessons, you know. If you regret, there's got to be a sense of bitterness in your heart. And to be free of bitterness, you just accept everything you've done, may be good or bad, and learn from it, move on, and know that it was done, it was meant to be, so there's no point in regretting, just learn from it.
What do you do for a living?
I look after a project management company in construction.
Digital marketing in the banking industry.
I was in sales and marketing. It gave me an opportunity to be exposed to a lot of different people.
Did you love what you did?
Loved what I did.
Got out of high school at 64. I worked as a welder in a machine shop. And then I moved and I poured concrete for 7 years. Pay's good, but it'll tear your body up. Then I moved into management. I was in management something like 28 years.
And I was an insurance agent for close to 20 years.
What did you love specifically? A lot of people work in jobs they might not love, but they don't really know what it is to love.
The freedom and exposure to many different types of people because of what I sold, which was communications. So I wasn't limited to one venue of business or whatnot.
Yeah, I think the key is working with people who you really like working with. I think that's ultimately why I like my job so much.
How would you advise someone to be happy? Because a lot of advice that you hear on the internet is just be happy. Just be happy. Focus on being happy. But how do you actually do that?
I think people are unhappy because of too much communication. There's no time to actually check your facts. And sometimes you don't need to know all the bad stuff.
The whole social media environment gets people disconnected from each other. There really isn't a substitute for person-to-person interaction. And without the facial cues and the intonations and all the rest of the stuff, it just takes a lot of the quality out of life.
You know, you've got to find contentment and satisfaction with what you have in this world and stop wanting what others have. Be happy with what you have and know that it's all temporary. The only guarantee we have in this life is that we will die. We will die. We know that for sure. Other than that, we don't know anything else.
What I see a mistake a lot of young people are making is they feel like, okay, my parents have this great big house. I need to move out and move into a house just like theirs. Instead of not realizing, okay, your parents probably started out in a little efficiency apartment or a one-bedroom apartment. Start slow. You don't have to live your dream right now. You can move into your dream, because if you don't, then what do you got to look forward to?
Take time to yourself. Value your alone time. Understand when you are being overstimulated. Understand when you're thinking a certain way because of influences and actions. Get to know yourself very well. Otherwise, you will never be able to know anybody else.
6 years ago, I was at one of the lowest points in my life. I was working in a bank job that I hated, and I had just come off a very destructive relationship. And so I turned to journaling as an escape. Now, throughout the journey, I've realized that there are a lot of problems with journaling. I would always find myself using multiple different journals to get the result that I felt I needed. 2 years ago, I started on the journey to solve that problem. I created this book, which is a 365-day workbook that is designed to help you change your life for the better in just 1 year. I've personally been using this for the last 2 years and trying to test it out to find the best possible version to give to you. But I do want to get your opinion as well. If you click the link in this description, you'll get access to a free PDF, which includes a 7-day journaling challenge using the exact template and descriptions that we have in this book. The goal is to do exactly what all these interviewees are saying. Get to know yourself, understand who you are, and place a priority on figuring that out. Because if you can do that, then you can go out into the world and do whatever you want to do. What is a big mistake that you've made or a big regret that you have that you learned a valuable lesson from?
I think I made a big mistake by trusting someone who I know that was irresponsible. And I didn't carry through on it because I felt that I could turn that person around. And I didn't.
Don't continuously look at building things for your old age, live in your current life, because you're building for your upcoming life, but then you're missing a lot of things here, you know.
Do you have an example of something?
I came from India, leaving my parents there, you know, so I feel like I should have been there, living the life there, enjoying the life there with them. I could have stayed there, you know. I could have enjoyed there more.
You think you would have been happier there?
I feel so. I mean, less money. The life is a little tougher there, but I think nowadays it's getting better as well.
We didn't travel extensively enough when we were young. We started traveling when we were old, and we're glad we did that. But there are things you can do when you're young, when you travel, that we can't do now.
You know, I look back and I look at mistakes I've made, but if I didn't make those mistakes, I wouldn't be who I am. When I turned 60, I thought it was the end of the world. So I thought, I wonder how other women feel when they turn 60. So what I ended up doing was I interviewed over 70 women between the ages of 60 and 90, and on various questions similar to what you're doing. What I concluded were most women were very much freer over 60 than they were before that. I learned that when you get a little older, you stop worrying about the oughts, coulds, woulds, and shoulds. And as I say, now when I go to the supermarket, I don't have to put on my makeup. I just hope I don't see anybody I know.
In one of my roles, I went around a guy I was working for to try to accomplish a bigger goal for the project. He was someone who had been identified for fast promotion through management and the rest of it. But I realized later on that I had not helped my own cause and had hurt his at the same time, and that what goes around comes around. You need to try to see the big picture all the time.
I would say for me as a younger person, not taking risks and pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I think, again, as you get older and probably more experience, you are willing to take risks and push yourself out of that, fear.
I see people that made investments that I had the opportunity to make that I didn't make.
What's an example of something that you wish you would have invested in?
They first offered gold on the market. It was $33 an ounce. And I had $1,000 worth of cash laying on my dresser. She asked me one Sunday morning, she said, "What are you going to do with that?" And I said, "I'm going to buy gold." If I would have bought that in gold, hundreds of thousands.
Not furthering my education. I did minimal junior college and then jumped into the world. And I regret that all the time. They always say, it's not too late, it's not too late, but it's too late.
What is something that we tend to put a lot of priority on when we're younger, but that as we get older, we realize isn't that important?
I would say keeping up appearances. You don't really care the older you get.
I would say money and career when you're young. And I think as you get older, it's more about experiences.
A lot of younger people are really focused on making money and getting rich. How do you come to that realization at a younger age so that you can be happier and more fulfilled?
The ugly truth is everyone needs some money and everyone wants a nice lifestyle, like going on vacation. So you have got to prioritize careers and making sure you earn enough to satisfy what you want to do.
Rating yourself against others rather than rating yourself as you believe you should be rated, right? And being yourself.
How do you do that with all the distractions in the world?
Well, that's true. Clearly, you have to have a plan. You have to have an objective in life.
The first half of your life, you spend accumulating things. The other half, you can't even give it away.
So materialism, basically.
Completely.
Do you think we prioritize work too much when we're younger?
Definitely. As the saying goes, when you're on your deathbed, nobody says, "I wish I'd spent more time at the office."
So, given all this, what advice would you give to someone younger than you?
Stop trying to be all things to all people and just be true to yourself.
To stay in school. My uncle told me this. He said, what are the two most important things in life? To increase your ability to become aware, number one, and to increase your ability to learn. And through those two things, all diversity can be managed.
Don't look at your future much more. I mean, you should definitely think about it, but don't spend your entire current life, in just thinking about the future. Live your life fully.
The wealth you accumulate is not what you're remembered for. It's the people in your lives.
Be patient, kind and honest and be willing to work your way to the top.
Don't give up on that dream. If your dream is to have that car, work for it. But don't feel you have to have it right now. Enjoy working for it.
Be true to yourself. Don't be what you're supposed to be. Be what you want to be, and try to find the happiness in every moment, even the bad things, because if you can look at adversity and observe it, it'll walk around you. If you challenge it, it will come at you.
Don't just believe that what you think is right and everyone else who doesn't believe what.
This video is sponsored. I've traveled to over the greatest.
That's when I got married. I traveled a lot. My wife and I had our children. It was a good time. We had a nice home. I had a good job. It was good.
What is something that we tend to prioritize a lot when we're younger, but that as we get older, we realize it's not important?
We worry about what everybody else thinks of us and what we look like, our cosmetics and our hair and our face and our clothes. You guys don't have to worry about it so much, but we women, we're encouraged to spend a lot of money on it. It's a waste of time.
Like the new car, the big house, the fancy clothes, those things come and go.
I don't know. I think everyone settles down too quickly. I think you need to have a home. You think you need to have a family. And once you do that, you're in it. Just do a whole lot of stuff first.
Money's a means to pursue your passions.
Well, what's important is it's your health. If you don't have a good health, you're not going to enjoy life.
I think you need to invest more time in your family and your friends and make sure you hang on to them, because that's the other thing. As you get older, you lose those friends. They start having cancer issues, getting dementia, and before you know it, you're down to a few.
So this all started in my hometown of Montreal, Canada. If you could give any piece of advice to someone younger than you, what would you tell them?
If you have an idea of something that you want to do, I wouldn't put it off. The golden years are not that golden. People say you can do all of this stuff till you're retired, but you never know what's going to happen to you. So while you're healthy, you should go do things, meet people, travel the world if that's what you want to do.
Be brave, but be true to yourself and be kind.
Get up, get out there, look around, put some effort in.
Yeah.
Every day you got to grow, and every day you got to learn something. You can't just lie in bed and eat cookies. You have to get up and get going.
After Montreal, my next stop was New York City. New York City has some of the most diverse and interesting characters on this planet. And one thing that I've learned over the course of the year, going to a city where most people have dealt with something like the people in New York have, makes the interviews a whole lot more interesting.
For me, my biggest regret was I wanted to be an actor. That was my dream since I was in elementary school. I was in all the school plays, and I had a modicum of success. When I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was on a few TV shows, and I was sort of almost on the cusp of making it. I guess I got scared, and it was I need to work. I need to support myself. Obviously, I was the quintessential starving artist. I was sleeping on friends' couches. I was bartending. I was a server, whatever, doing what I had to do so I can go on auditions during the day. And I kind of gave up on that dream and got the typical corporate 9-to-5 job. And that's my biggest regret in my life, because I was 20, let's say 22. I should have really kept at it and pursued it, because that's all I've ever wanted to do was be an actor. And now I have some lame corporate job, and it's I can pay my rent and whatever, live, but what is the point at the end of the day? You recognize that time is so short. That's the only one thing that you can't get back. Sort of hyper aware of that now. When you're 22, you think you're going to live forever. I got my whole life ahead of me. No, you have to do it then. Try, fail. There's nothing to be ashamed of with failure. Just learn from it and then move on and just try a whole bunch of different things. That would be my biggest advice to a young person.
If you could give one piece of advice to someone younger than you, what would you say?
We both love to travel, and I think we waited until we thought, oh, we can afford that. It would have been much more fun to travel when we were younger at less nice places. So we didn't start really traveling until we were about 50.
Yeah.
Yes, we can afford nicer places to go, but it would have been much more fun to have done some backpack stuff.
Make sure you do what you enjoy doing. Don't just get a job. Have a passion for what you're doing.
Early into the year, I went to Japan with my best friend, conveniently also named Will. We traveled to Asia for 4 months. We spent most of our time in Japan, and that was one of the most eye-opening experiences for the interviews, because Japan, and use my we're being filmed. When I look back,
そんなに気にすることはあんまりないと思うけどね。そんなに重要じゃなかったようなことはないと思う。何かしら役に立ってるから。何の役にも立ってないようなことは多分ないんだと思う。良いことも悪いこともね、いろんな経験になっていくから。
私は、例えば父が早く亡くなったと。で、もう私は25歳の時に知って、
Arrows.
Wait, how did you just pull that out?
How did I pull it out?
What do you do for a living?
I retired to move here and then kind of got bored of being retired. And so I started a YouTube channel, man.
What's it called? Plug it.
Retired working for you. Check it out, man.
Why did you move to Bangkok?
Man, I've been dreaming about it my whole life. I came here for the first time in '94 and fell in love with the place and kept coming back year after year for vacation. And then finally just decided to make it happen.
Long story, probably. I've been working in the film and TV industry for over 20 years. Originally moved to LA to kind of chase my dreams when I was a young teenager, and then ultimately ended up getting a job for Netflix to run their post-production department and help start up their studio for all original content in Asia. That brought me out to Asia, then decided after I left my job, it was time to come to Thailand. And
why did you quit your job?
I would say mostly because it was time to try something new. Every 4 or 5 years or so, I start to get a little bit of an itch to live life a little differently. I think I was spending a lot of time, especially during the pandemic, sitting in one room in front of a computer. I had spent maybe 3 years almost doing that, and I thought that I'm not living life anymore and I need to try something different and get out of this sort of monotonous sort of routine.
You act and seem like you're a lot younger. There's things that you do that you think make you feel younger.
We've lived in a world to where we've been pretty much programmed to follow directives since we were a child. Once we break away from all of those past beliefs, then we free ourselves and we are able to follow our gut feeling. And once we start exercising, following our gut, we tend to go a different direction. You start walking slowly and then you start to skip a little bit. And next thing you know, you're running because you realize that what you were doing before or what you were living before was a lie.
I mentioned earlier in this video how a lot of us are not happy with our lives, specifically not happy with our careers. Now, regardless of if it is your career or another part of your life, most of us are unhappy because of 3 reasons. 1, we don't know who we are. 2, we don't know what we want. And 3, even if we do know those first 2 things, we have no idea how we plan on making that happen.
I wake up in the morning, I'll go out for a walk and I'll just say, you know what? I'm just going to talk into my diary about what I feel or what I've experienced. And that allows me to free myself from the thoughts of what I should be doing.
A few years ago, I decided to create a product based on my own personal experiences that is a series of answers to the questions that the majority of us face when we set off on a journey to set big goals for ourselves and actually achieve them. That product is our 365-day workbook, a fully guided journal that is designed to help you build the mindset, tools, and systems to completely change your life this year. Now, to sell this product, we used a Shopify store. Shopify offers an easy-to-use, all-in-one commerce platform for anybody, regardless, and purchase one.
But I think what I've learned is the difference between success and failure is often just taking that next step. Even though it might feel a little bit boring, it might feel like a bit of the grind, but you just got to take baby steps to get to that end dream, or else you'll never get there.
After spending those 4 months in Asia, I came back to Canada with a different way of interviewing. While I was in Asia and I was speaking to more people who did not speak the same language as me, I had to be more strategic. So again, I turned to you guys. So I would message you guys on Instagram and I would ask if anybody's in Tokyo, for example, and if you wanted to take. And everybody wants it.
Having a sense of commitment to the other person for better or for worse.
Being caring of one another, accepting each other for what faults they may have.
We're honest. We tell each other everything, and without that, I don't think love exists. Because that leads to caring for somebody.
Except when you go and buy a new watch.
Well,
didn't tell me about that
I'm
one.
buying you one.
Love is feeling fulfilled. Love is feeling calm, being seen. And that's really in any relationship. And we have to work at all of our relationships, not just what we consider the big one. I could nitpick to death. I choose not to do that because it doesn't expand the relationship.
I was someone that, always looked for approval on the outside, be it from my parents, my teachers, and especially from my boyfriends and then my first husband. And after my divorce, I lived alone for 8 years in a little apartment, but they were the best growth years of my life.
How would you recommend someone who's young in today's dating world to find love, true love?
Not on the internet, not swiping right. in your circles, at your health club, at your yoga studio. What you are focused on, what you're interested in is where other like-minded people are.
You're always looking for that piece of the jigsaw puzzle to complete you.
Yeah.
When you should be complete to begin with. So no rushing into marriage, you know, and a lot of kids do because it's important to be in a couplehood situation, but there's no need to rush.
I've interviewed a lot of people from a lot of cultures and a lot of ages in this year. What I've learned is that the older you get, the more enriching your experiences are and the more advice you have to share. But I was really looking to interview more people above the age of 90. That's when I got this idea that in Montreal there is a park that is surrounded by retirement homes. We quickly went to that park for a weekend and found some of the oldest and healthiest and wisest people that you will ever find.
We each have certain issues, but we're lucky to be walking and out under the sun on a day like today.
Yeah, we're doing the best we can. We have a lot of friends who have passed and a lot of friends who are sick, and we're fine. So we're lucky. And we're lucky we're together, married 67 years. We have a lovely family and lots to be thankful for.
What is one thing that when you were younger, you put a lot of priority on, and as you got older, you realized wasn't that important?
Things. Tchotchkes, you know, like now I have a house full of beautiful dishes and vases and things, and my kids don't want them. They have small houses. It's not that important to have the best of everything. Don't look at other people.
What is one thing that when you were younger, you put a lot of priority on, and when you got older, you realized it wasn't that important?
I don't have any time to think about those things. I'm just quite happy with it.
But he does wake in the morning and looks over and says, "Oh, are you still here?"
If you could give one piece of advice to anyone younger than you, what would you say?
Just enjoy life. And if there's something that's distasteful, stay away from it.
First of all, I say one thing, stay in school. Get as much education as you can. Make yourself valuable, but make sure that you're the best that you can be. That's something I wish I had done. Okay, thank God.